Durag Wisdom here, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Earth Date Y2K 19.04.01 Bill Maher, April Fool of the month. But first, before we get into that, latest news. Trump threatens to close the border. Mexico isn't doing enough. Nobody's doing enough to keep those terrible, dark people out of this white country that he wants to create. If I was in power, Trump, his family, his party, they would be exiled from the United States of America, and anything associated with the United States of America, exiled. They would be denied food, clothing, water, shelter within these borders of the United States and its colonies. Poor Puerto Rico, right? Has to deal with this racist turd. Imagine exiling the Trump and the Trump family and his party from our country. 2, there's this rich oil and gas drenched creep. His last name is Beale. He lives in California, but he likes to gamble a lot in Vegas. And what he does, what this guy wants to do, he wants to bring oil, gas, and other pollution back to the blue state of California. He intends, this guy Beale, he intends to file a lawsuit claiming discrimination against his business, which would be discrimination against gas, oil, coal in general. And Beale is a Trump supporter, and the Civil War continues. We don't fight. We don't stand up. This planet will be swallowed up by these creeps. The third bit of news. Trump already has plans, I don't know who it is, for whom he will replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg with if she dies. Goddess forbid, and I'm an atheist. People are complaining, of course, that the Democrats, those liberal, the new liberal Democrats that are coming in, those socialists, are trying to come up with a law that would pack the Supreme Court with liberals. That's what they think the liberals want. Now, why aren't these same people complaining about how the Supreme Court is now packed with religious extremist conservatives, and that this Frankenstein monster creep with the flat head is going to pack the court with more right-wing totalitarian kangaroo justices? The cold Civil War is continuing. 4, Attorney General Jail Barr still refuses to release the Mueller report. What are these totalitarian traitor Putinists trying to hide? And now, the April Fool of the month, Bill Maher. Full disclosures, ladies and gentlemen, I am a Maher fan, but never a sycophant. Maher has said 3 things that I really don't like. 1, Maher has said that he would rather have Pence as president than Trump. Think about that for a moment. Think about how ignorant that is. Of course I don't want Trump as president. I don't want Pence as president either. In fact, I believe both of them were involved in this collusion with the Russians. And if it comes out that Pence was also involved, which I think he was, we could have Nancy Pelosi as president of our country. Pence is worse than Trump in many ways because he's more intelligent. He's another dictator in waiting. He reminds me of Red Grant from Russia with Love, played sinisterly by Robert Shaw. Imagine if Pence were president instead of Trump. We'd still be tortured. Gay people would be put into indoctrination centers and tortured or even burned at the stake. This is a religious extremist creep who introduced himself to America as a Christian rather than as American. Imagine if a Jew had done the same thing. I've said this before. But he will give us his own Pence-made tales. Maher. Wrong. Number 2. Maher is ignorant about the art of comic books. I've collected comic books my entire life. If it wasn't for comic books, I would have really not learned how to read as well as I do today. I hated Dick and Jane and the humiliation of reading groups. I was having a rotten childhood even then, and I did not like the way that they were teaching me how to read. Comic books taught me how to read. There are tons of genres in comic books. I prefer the anthologies. I prefer the graphic novels. I prefer the horror novels. Superheroes is only one part of it. When I was a fan of Marvel, I first was a fan of their anthology series. When they became superhero, I liked the edge they put on them, the superheroes. But I prefer horror comics, graphic novels, and the like such as Akira, such as Providence, which I've started reading right now, by Alan Moore. When Bill Maher groups an entire genre, comics, into one genre, when there are all kinds of subgenres, and it is an art in itself, and it's the bridge between books and movies, Maher is showing once again he's an ignorant snob when it comes to this. And finally, I know that he may be joking, but Maher, who never had kids, should not advise parents to beat their children. I never had my own children also, because I did not want to bring anyone into this naked ape slime pit so that they can simply grow old, get sick, get helpless, and die, while having the pleasure in between of being screwed the wrong way by savage human existence. I love children, and I was a former teacher for 32 years, 28 of which I spent in the New York City public school system. I was disgusted by how the majority of children were being neglected and not raised, and instead raised to believe that the world owes them a living. Someone who never had children, Maher, and hates them should not be advising parents to strike them, so that in the end we have more bullies in our world, courtesy of know-it-all Bill Maher. Full disclosure, I am not politically correct either, and I never will be. And I will not apologize for what I believe in. And there's many things that people will disagree with me on, but they are free to disagree with me on this site. They are free to talk about anything they want on whatever part of my site that they wish. I don't regiment people. I don't regiment their ideas or their ideals. I have my own, and I will not apologize for them. But I will not try to advertise my ignorance as Maher does in his dotard years, which I am in now.